No, you got to describe Henry Horner Homes.
Well, the Henry Horner Homes is a public housing complex that was built in the mid-1950s, and it's a stretch of 8 blocks, and they're just concrete buildings, and they were built on the cheap. They were built as a massive national housing program, and as you go into the buildings, you can see how they were built on the cheap. The walls are made out of cinder block. The walls of the bedrooms are cinder block. The elevators are all. There's no door, no lobby. There's just a tunnel that runs through the building. So there's no buzzer system. No anybody comes and goes as easily as the wind. And there's the elevators are exposed to the elements, and the elevators now, which often don't run, are made out of this steel. It's like going into a steel trap when you go into these elevators. And they're all high rises. I mean, they just stack people on top of each other, so it's just awfully crowded. And they've done very little work on these buildings since the 1950s. It's been
they're in the midst of this violence. There is that because the drug wars and the gang, the disciples and the vice lords. And if one kid walk with a cap turned to the left in the wrong neighborhood, he's liable to get shot. Right. There is this. This is pervasive, isn't it?
No, quite very pervasive. I mean, even the young children have to sort of make some decision early on as to what section of the neighborhood they're going to be able to go and not to go. Lafayette and Farrell, for example, won't cross over the Damon Avenue, which is sort of the dividing line between the two gangs.
It was the west side of Chicago near the Jane Addams homes. Mm-hmm. There was trouble. There were some black kids and his Latino kids, some Greek and Italian kids, little trouble, and I wandered about there. Not as you did, so much knowing the kids. Mine was a kind of a haphazard 3-4 day venture. And so they're skipping rope, and we hear a drum and bugle corps in the background suddenly coming in, and I'm talking to the various kids and then asking a rather silly, usual question. This is what we hear.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know. I just want to see what I want to see if I'm going to grow up first. I mean, I might not live to be grown up.
Why do you say that?
Because I don't know when my time is. I don't know when I'm going to die yet. I don't know what may happen. My life wasn't promised to me. My life wasn't promised to me. And I never know if I could die overnight or nothing. So the day wasn't promised to me.
What?
It what?
In the Bible, it was.
It what?
It was.
It what?
It was. It was. It was.
Sister, don't cry.
And then they got into the art. It was promised. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. As they're skipping rope. And these are kids 8, 9, 10 years old. So this is the area. We talked about the shootings. How come? The why of it.
Well, a lot of the shootings are between the different gang factions, which have, and I mean, it's plain and simple. I mean, it's over territory and where they can sell their drugs, and it's over money, which is very scarce in these neighborhoods, and so much of it's over drugs. But also the other thing is a lot of it is just growing up in that environment. I think kids end up becoming violent in the way they just interact with each other, and.
Then they have truces on occasion for the big talent show at the Boys Club.
Right. The gangs are so well organized that they actually are able to call, and they call them. This what they call them are truces, where there won't be any shooting, and they might come together at the talent show at the local Boys Club, and where all their differences are laid aside for an evening.
By the way, there are these signals, and the caps, certain color. Mm-hmm. And earrings, but mostly how the cap is turned.
Right.
Vice lords have it turned one way, and the
disciples have it another.
And the disciples. By the way, are El Rukns an offshoot? I'm mixed up because I'm working on some now, and this kid talking to me used folk and nation, different ones. Are the El Rukns offshoots of vice lords?
I don't know where the El Rukns fit in, but the Folk and Nation are the two. The Chicago is divided into two essential
Folk and Nation
gangs, Folk and Nations, and the Vice Lords fall into one, and the Disciples into another, and the same with the El Rukns, which is one of the original, sort of the prototypes for a lot of these.
So it's done in military fashion.
Yeah, very much so.
Sort of
a
hierarchy, and there's a roster.
Yeah, they call them lieutenants. They call generals. Jimmy Lee, in fact, his nickname was General Lee.
And so they they have this laid out, and there's an understanding at times with the police too, on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago Stadium plays a role here. The Chicago Stadium is right near the, isn't it?
Right, it's just a block away, just a block
From the
south
Henry
of
Horner.
the Henry
So
Horner
now
house.
we come to Bulls games and Blackhawks games.
Right, and